got these men, and he's always happy, and he's. Hey guys, welcome back to Entrepreneur Talk and Tea episode 6. We have Atish, who's a familiar face, or for everyone that doesn't know, we call him Pat. So feel free to start calling him Pat from now on. So obviously we're going to go over some of the awesome stuff that Pat's gone through, and a little bit of a story about his background and all the rest of it. So, don't forget to thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and in the comment box, let me know who you want to see in the next episode, and we'll see if we can make it happen. So, Atish, if you want to introduce yourself to everyone and let them know a bit about yourself and what you do.
Perfect. Okay. So, my name's Atish. Been working with Salmon & Co for the last 4 years nearly, or just 3.5 about. So started my sort of career, I'd say, just after university. I studied maths at uni, probably wasn't as focused as I should have been back then. Did my degree, but sadly my father's health took a turn for the worse just during my final year. Due to that, he suffered a major stroke, and we had a family business. It was a restaurant, and sort of stepped in to kind of fill the void. He was hospitalised for around 10 months, so it was a very, very tough time. Looking at silver linings, it offered me the opportunity to grow up very quickly. Like I said, I wasn't perhaps in the best frame of mind.
Can we when you say grow up really quickly, can we show the photo? Can we put the pop-up photo on, Chaz? Yeah. So this is what Pat used to be like before he grew up.
So bad. That's so bad.
That's got to go in. That's got to go.
So bad. Okay, so perhaps my head wasn't in the right space. I was 21 and I had keys to this restaurant, and I had to give it the best shot. It was very, very tough at first, as you can imagine. Made a ton of errors, but kind of worked my way through it, and kind of, I think, did my family proud and kind of worked way through this tough time. After about 6 years, so
whilst you was doing that, was you still at university, or?
No, so Dad actually had his stroke the week of my graduation, so I just finished, but I had no plans. So like I said, I had got the degree in maths, just didn't have an after plan. I was just gonna.
What did you get?
I got 2.2. Okay. Not overly impressed with that, but like I said, I went to uni to party and to have a good time, so I wasn't that focused.
Okay.
Actually, probably my biggest regret to date was not going and smashing it out of the park, because it's not that hard. You just got to put your head down when the time's right. But hey ho, it all worked out at the end.
Yeah.
Once the business kind of found its feet, I then decided to apply into getting back into industry. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to have a professional career, and the business was running. It didn't require my full attention. It's evening based. I had good management in place, and so looked to scrub up my CV and try and get into investment banks, try and get into hedge funds, trying to get into front office. The system worked against me in the sense that they want to see in black and white on paper what you're about, and my CV was weak from a professional perspective, and it was rejection after rejection after rejection, unfortunately. And I'm a bit bitter against the industry, actually, because I think that I have a lot to offer. I knew I had a lot to offer. I just needed to get face to face with somebody, and to allow them to understand my background and why things haven't worked out too well. Sadly, that wasn't given to me until my CV came to your door, and I was invited for an interview. And refreshingly, I don't know how much you remember. Refreshingly, you didn't really focus on my previous experience. You were more focused on what you feel I can offer. It was all forward thinking. It was always looking progressively, and that was so refreshing for me. And I think that I thought a company that has this sort of business ethos is definitely something I can work with. I needed a second chance, and I'm a big believer of second chances, and obviously that was available to me. So I was all in from that moment onwards, and sort of tried to diversify and enter the world of trading. Entered as a complete newbie.
Yeah. So that was. And then when was that? When was that interview? When was that?
So that would be October 2015.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yeah. It was very early days.
Yeah, it must have been because you was at the office when it was there in January.
Correct. Yeah. So
that was 2016, so it must have been around. It must have been before then. Yeah.
Very early on.
Yeah, very early on. So obviously we like to get 5 tips from our entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
What would be your tip number 1?
Any budding entrepreneur, I think, needs to utilise weekends. I think society dictates to you that perhaps weekends are for relaxing, and they claim to think they know what's best for you. I think anyone that works a standard sort of 9 to 5 day, they do their daily tasks as per their line manager requests them to do. During that period, they're not developing, they're not bettering, they're not pushing boundaries, they're not investing in themselves, they're just doing their job. Which means that you have very limited time to actually go and exceed boundaries, and the weekend is that prime spot. I think that any successful individual, be it yourself or anyone that's done anything and achieved goals, has done it by working outside of their hours. And I think weekends are for developing. I think people need to utilise them more. I'm not saying don't go out and have a good time. Everyone needs to relax, as we all know. But I think utilising your weekends is essential if you want to achieve your goals.
Well, I mean, if you work out, there's roughly at least 4 weekends in a month.
Correct.
That's 8 days, isn't it? So when you start looking at that, that's over 20% of a whole month.
Yeah.
So just by doing something on those 2 days towards your goal would increase your output by 20%, more than the standard person. Obviously Sunday's God's day of rest, and Saturday's football day, and all the rest of it. So before you know it, you're back to work on Monday, or Saturday morning's recovering from Friday night. Do you think people focus too much on living for the weekend?
Yeah, I think that if people work and live a normal life, then they will have that will be the pathway of their success. It will be normal. If you want to exceed that, then you have to do something that's out the normal, which is to work on the weekends. If you do the normal things, you'll live a normal life. If you exceed that, then that's when things get really exciting. So I definitely think that. There is a time to have to relax, and I do get it. I just think that life's short, and I buy into the whole working hour week you mentioned previously, and I just think if you want something, you've got to push boundaries to get it. Yeah,
I think it's almost like you'll use it. In my eyes, I saw it as I was working 7 days a week from early doors till late nights, very limited amount of sleep, and I did that because I listened to people like Arnold Schwarzenegger that was just like, if you sleep more than 6 hours a day, I suggest you sleep faster. That's kind of what he said, and I was like, wait, this guy is funny, but it's true at the same time, and you need to spend more time focusing on your goals and achieving it. I think the issue is that people don't feel that they can do that. They don't feel that they can make that step to be better than someone else, and they're kind of like trapped in that 9 till 5. Do you feel that because of what happened to your dad, it kind of threw you into the deep end, and it's like 9 till 5s don't exist in this world? I've got to do what I've got to do now to step up pretty much.
Yeah, so literally 7-day weeks, sometimes locking up the restaurant sort of 12, 1 in the morning, and as you know, I'm here 7 on the dot, and that's after an hour's drive. So I don't think sleep is an excuse. Again, society dictates that you need 8 hours to live a healthy lifestyle and XYZ. I just don't buy into that. I don't think any of my idols achieved what they've achieved by sleeping 8 hours a day. I don't think it's possible by working a 5-day week. So I think it's definitely about breaking those boundaries 100%. And obviously, considering what happened to Dad, I had to do over and above. I had a younger sister still in full-time education. I had my parents' mortgage to pay. I also had my own ambitions. So it was incredibly difficult. But like I said, it just makes you stronger. Kind of.
Do you think there's this whole kind of thing that's been pushed out there where it's like, he just got lucky and he just achieved it just through what it is? Do you think that the audience would know this happened to you, or think that something like this happened to you, or do you think that everyone just writes it off? It's like, that guy got lucky, he got a lucky straw, and now he kind of has a flexible life, as to the sense of you get to dictate what you do, when you do it, and how you do it. Do you think there's something out there that people just write it off? And
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. So I'm a bit hesitant about speaking about the past, only because I know people judge very quickly and they think, well, oh, here's a guy and he's been given a silver spoon. In reality, if you look at the actual facts of it, I understand why people think that, but they couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
We had a massive debt on the business. My dad over leveraged, over borrowed at the time. It was an impulse purchase. It was just 2 months pre-2008 recession.
Yeah.
The hospitality industry took the hit first, as it's the easiest thing to cut back on when money's tight. So my restaurant sales dropped massively. This was everything other than a silver spoon kind of story. I had to graft. It was very, very difficult. That's spending time in the kitchen and pulling shifts. It's not a case of just directing staff. It was sort of learning on the job. I was 21, so it was very, very difficult. And I know people judge very quickly, and they like to think that they might believe that it's all been given, and I've got a good life, but there's a lot of work that's gone into it.
I think lately for me, I've seen a completely different light to entrepreneurs and their background. The more you research into actually why they did something, you actually realise that there's actually quite a bit of a dark past to majority of entrepreneurs. They've either gone through some sort of hardship, some sort of suffering, or something along those lines. Do you know Terry Crews, the big guy that's like with the pecs that does the pec? If you don't know him, we'll load a photo here of Terry Crews. Terry Crews can do an awesome pec dance. He's got these men, and he's always happy. And he's in what's it?
White Chicks.
White Chicks. Yeah, he's in White Chicks, and he's in the car, and he's doing all the dance. And I've never seen him ever be anything but happy all the time. And then for those that don't know, there's Goalcast, guys. Go check it out. It's seriously motivational. I post it on some of my personal Facebook page, Samuel Leach. I won't personally message you on Facebook. Don't worry, there's a lot of people pretending not to be me, so I don't have time to message people. But my Samuel Leach page, okay, is there's a few Goalcasts on there. And Terry Crews, actually, he got so big because when he was a kid, his dad used to beat his mum.
Okay.
Completely used to beat her to the point where he was like, I can't believe that my dad loves her. And he was like, if he loves her, what's he going to do to me?
Yeah.
And he used to dream about running away. And even now, he was on stage and he was like bawling his eyes out about it. And you realise that this humongous man, the only reason why he got so big was so that he could protect his mum.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all. And then that's changed and shifted his life to go and be ambitious, to do more, to look after his mum, to go and be this person. And it's like, the more you hear about these stories, the more you think, whoa, this guy didn't have an easy upbringing at all. I'm trying to think of the other guy, who's the guy that played main character in Titanic? Leonardo DiCaprio. So Leonardo DiCaprio's mum literally sacrificed so much for him. He was in an underperforming, poor school, doing really, really bad. It was going nowhere. She went out of her way to drive an hour and a half every single day to drop him off at a prestigious school to try to change his life and improve him for the better. That's another one. Go watch Leonardo DiCaprio on Goalcast. And the more you see these people that are celebritised, and you see their stories a lot more because they're obviously out there. But I think there's a general rule of thumb that there is the core reason for their success is there is a solid why behind it that is so empowering that they have to do it, and there is no other reason. Like, you had your mortgage you had your parents' mortgage to deal with, your sister's fees, you had massive amount of debt from your restaurant. You had no way out. You just had to basically dig your feet in and be like, this is what I've got to work with. And I can sit here and I can moan about the scenario that I'm in, and I can sit there and be like, I'm not going to be successful, I'm not going to get out of this because I'm in debt. Or you could just buckle the fuck up pretty much, get your head down and destroy it and do the best that you can do.
The irony is, I'm quite proud to say this, as in the only reason Dad effectively got ill was that he was overworked to fund good schooling for me and my sisters. So I had an element of private school education, I had extracurricular activities, I had a lot of opportunities, and I didn't really take any of them as well as I should have. And the truth of it is that if he didn't go that extra mile for us, then he probably wouldn't have had his stroke. So this is the bare minimum I could do. Taking on the responsibility, because he put his life on the line for us, and he worked stupid hours, did everything under the sun so that he could provide for my two sisters and myself. So this is just the circle of life, and now I'll be doing that back for him, and that's sort of our culture. That's how we've been brought up.
Yeah, I think likewise, same for me. I don't think many people know, but me and James was similar background, similar area. Me and James were eating like egg rolls for dinner. Like we were, absolutely no money to our name, and then Dad went and used his money with my mum to fund my training. And they spent money that they didn't really have to go down that route, and I was almost like, oh my god, they've given everything for me to go do this training. I have to now step up to the plate and make that shift to actually really be the best that I can be in the markets and really outperform everyone. And I think, like I said, and then again, paying back and giving back to my family, going back and getting my mum her dream car that she wanted. That was an awesome goal. My dad's been raving on about living on a Dutch barge for 10 years, custom built boat, and I went and achieved that and bought my dad his boats, which was in the hundreds of thousands. And it's like when you start looking at the things that it's the minimum that I could give back.
What more motivation do you need? Than to give back to the people that allowed it to happen. So
there's always someone, I think, in an entrepreneurial life that someone has sacrificed for them, and they feel obliged to deliver for that other person to actually become successful. So obviously that's obviously a mad background for everything, but what was the turning point of how did you actually turn your business to success? How did you turn it around from being so largely in debt to moving and steering it in your direction?
It was educating myself. I think that, and that's probably tip number 2 that I wanted to kind of lean onto, in the sense that I jumped into this business. I didn't know anything about running a business, let alone a restaurant, tax implications, sales, leadership, management of people, customers. It was all brand new. I educated myself. I was online, I went to courses. Not many people know this, but I actually worked in Nando's. I went in Nando's undercover, so to speak. I went in a sort of a junior manager role. That's what they offered me, and I worked there for 6 months. No, a bit less, about 3 months, just to scope their systems. I thought, this is a great business model, and I need to learn. So I went in and I took notes and I absorbed everything. And this was whilst running my own restaurant, so you can imagine the hours were insane. I did that kind of side by side with a view to learn as much as I can, and I think education's massive. If you want to excel at anything, you have to give yourself the knowledge, give yourself the best opportunity. So that was kind of my biggest kind of shift. I thought I could learn on the job. You can to a certain extent, but it's only so far.
You have to see someone better than you, and someone like that who's built a whole system. That what they're doing works. And it's just like, here's the blueprint.
Correct.
Take the blueprint, apply it to yours.
It doesn't always have to be overcomplicated. If you find a system that works, just replicate it. Sometimes people look for the golden solution, or sometimes they're looking too far outside the box, when really if you find models that already work, well,
and that goes to trading as well. Try not to find the holy grail, try not to recreate the wheel. It's already there. There is no holy grail, but there are working methods of how to make money from the markets, and that's exactly what we do here.
Yeah, exactly that.
So that's our tip number 2. So it's educate yourself.
100%.
So there's a lot of people out there that I don't have time to do this, I don't have time to do that. How do you juggle running your own business? How do you juggle trading? And how do you juggle training, mentoring? How do you juggle it all?
I don't bitch. You just got to, sorry, I'm not say that. Stop moaning. You just got to get on with it. I'd like to think people don't always appreciate the things I do outside of the hours that I'm with them. I work incredibly hard, and it's very hard to manage. I have a strong support network. I think that's massive. My partner's great, very understanding, and I think you have to utilise your time. This goes back to where we started with weekends, evenings. The day ends when you want it to end, not just because it's 5 o'clock and that's when everyone leaves work. I think that it's incredibly important to have hobbies outside of work. Keeps you motivated, keeps you driven. Going to the gym, it could be anything. But I think you'd probably agree. It kind of allows you to focus because you need that downtime.
Yeah, you do.
And I think that's incredibly important. It's just utilising every hour in the day. And some people think or might assume that I perhaps don't have much of a social life. They're not too far wrong, but I do what I enjoy. I do it because I want to do it, and I think that it's almost like a short-term kind of push for a better life long term. And I think I'm a big believer of that. Dad had his stroke at 48, and to see his life being so massively impacted at 48, I do not want to find myself in that position. By 48, I'm done.
So what's your excuse? Why haven't you been gymming them for the last 3 years?
Well, I have been, Joe. Put me on show. I have been. Mind your own business. Go away. So Thailand's not till 6 weeks, so don't worry. It'll all be fine by Thailand.
Yeah, everyone's going to look like chiseled gods by the sound of it in 6 weeks. Let's see actually how that pans out. Okay, so pretty much anyone that says that they don't have enough time is just making excuses. Talking rubbish. So I'd like to add there is, in my eyes, and people successful, like I said, if you focus around the people that you're closest to, 18 hours a day should be your day. I'm not saying that should be an 18-hour work day. I'm saying you should sleep for 6 hours and be doing your craft for 18 hours. And in that 18 hours, you should be able to fit in all of your work, all of your family time, your gym, and all of your chores. And if you're not fitting that in, you'll probably find that you're not doing it for 18 hours. So if you're not fitting it in, sleep less, work 18 hours. And if you don't like the idea of being like, I don't want to do 18 hours, then just think of it on borrowed time. So for example, let's take myself now and say I used to work a lot of hours, 18 hours, and actually now I do work long hours, but nowhere near as much as what I used to do. So I borrowed the hours that I'm getting back now, back then, and put them into the workplace. So if you think of it, if you dedicate your 10 years to 18 hours a day, or you don't even have to do that, just write 10 years off and say that's what I am going to do, my 18 hours. And then anything before that, if you've made it before that, then you've got your borrowed time back. So it's almost like taking a loan from yourself of time and pushing it forward and being like, right, I'm just going to give everything I've got now, and you'll be surprised what you can actually achieve in 18 hours. If you dedicated something along the lines of an hour a day to learn something new and study something new, you've got 18 hours. Most of you probably aren't even awake 18 hours a day. So if you just put 1 hour towards learning something new, you think over 30 days, that's 30 hours a month that you've spent on learning something new. So that's just a simple thing. And I'm actually going to go back to being quite strict on myself now, even though I don't have to be from a financial point of view, but I actually want to start learning something new. So potentially a new language, piano, something along those lines, to really start excelling myself and get back onto the personal development grind rather than that. Because if you don't have those hours, what you're doing is you're just getting same old. If and Jon Taffer is an absolute fantastic example of this. For those that don't know, Jon Taffer actually runs a show called Bar Rescue, but he's actually quite a motivational speaker. He goes into bars, restaurants, and then he turns them around into profit. And his famous saying is like, if you do what you did yesterday today, you're going to get the same of what you did yesterday. So unless you actively make a point of changing what you're doing, you're never going to change. So if you're sitting there saying, oh, I'm bad at this, well, dedicate your 1 hour to being better at that per day, and you'll be surprised what you achieve. The whole 10,000 hour rule of being a perfectionist or something, you think about that, you're adding 30 hours of a month to that. Over a year, that's 360 hours that you've out there gone and given to a given task. Now, they say you're an expert on 10,000 hours. Well, 360 hours a week isn't exactly bad on dedicating an hour to your craft. So you'd be surprised what you can learn in that window. And I think that there is no room for excuses. Great example I hear all the time is I don't have enough money. So you obviously at the point when you was in debt, you didn't from the business, you didn't have enough money.
No.
But it didn't stop you from achieving what you needed to achieve. You just found a way, right?
Correct.
So it's all about being proactive and put yourself out there. I don't have enough money, you'll find a way. Yeah, I don't have enough confidence, you'll find a way. I don't have skills, well, I'll learn, I'll find a way. People write themselves off way too early by playing the whole blame game of You know, I'll take a great example. I was talking to an absolute muppet last night on Instagram. Like, I'm talking an absolute muppet, like someone that is so one-sided. He was talking about an individual that blew his Fusion account, you know, he blew his Fusion account because it was on 4 times higher than the risk. Okay, so we had 4 times higher the risk that was suggested. Went and blew his Fusion account, and guess what? Goes and blames Fusion. But if there's a suggested amount of risk from a guy that's developed it, and says that you should do it this way, you're going to then go and do it 4 times that risk. It seems bonkers. It's like saying the speed limit's 70, but I'm going to go literally 280 miles an hour. And you think you're going to be able to survive? You're not, are you? So exactly. It's simple rules like that. It's like, you know, let's take a 30 mile an hour zone. It's 30 mile an hour for a reason, yeah, because there's corners. Yeah, you can't drive round that corner at 120 mile an hour, and if you try, you're going to crash. Yeah, exactly the same thing. And then you're just like sitting there blaming your car for doing that. You put the pedal down, you were the one behind the steering wheel. And everyone likes playing this whole blame game. It's the tools, it's someone else's fault. It's never your own fault. And as soon as I think you guys start taking responsibility for your own actions and progressing from that, that is the point of when you improve. You know, it may not be my fault that, let's say for example, I have someone that's underperforming, but if I take responsibility for that, I can improve that scenario. Okay, that person's underperforming because of something of their own doing, but actually that's my responsibility. It's my company, and I'll take my time to improve that person to achieve what they're going to do. So as long as you start taking responsibility for things that aren't even your fault, you'll start realising that you become a better, more proactive, a more skilled individual and a bigger entrepreneur, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I'll stop ranting about that, but I think it's a fair points on everything. So we've only got up to 2 points of you so far. Yeah. What's your third tip?
My third one's a bit unique for myself, but I think a lot of people might be able to resonate with it. And it's about being yourself. I think you should be yourself and make it work. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of entrepreneurs, and I think the framework for a successful businessman is the cliche, hard-nosed, ruthless, to the point kind of DNA of a successful businessman, and largely this is dictated by TV and media or whatever else. Now that's not me. You've known me for a few years. Yeah. I'm allowed to say I'm a nice guy. I'm just a nice, friendly guy, and I am. And so therefore, trying to fit into the framework of a successful businessman became very difficult. I sort of tried to alter my personality, didn't quite work. My management style didn't suit what was required from my business. Over the years, I've just learned just to be myself, and I think there's different ways that you can manage people and be a leader, from perhaps a more approachable perspective, a more of an open door policy, a kind of toned down, supportive boss. So there's different types of leaders, and I think that if you are looking to start a business or to excel in your business, I think don't try and follow anyone else's makeup of a successful business. Just be yourself, and make that work for your business. Don't try to be like anybody else. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think people buy into personalities. You know, it's people buy into your why and buy into you. They don't buy into the fact that you're wearing a suit or something. I was trying to do that because obviously I came from private banking, came to my own career, and I still had that whole placebo that I need to wear a suit all the time. Mm-hmm. And I realised my productivity was just useless wearing a suit when I was wearing what I wanted to wear.
It didn't last long, did it?
No, it didn't. No, it was like, right, when we move here, we're all wearing suits. It's all going to be professional. We're all wearing suits. And then it got to the point of where, well, all the guys on the trade floor can wear suits without a tie and we're okay, and in here is a creative room and we can wear what we want. And so it kind of made me serious, but I think it's just down to comfort. And it's like, for example, I was doing a full page article for the Metro, and I was like, do you have a full photo of yourself? And I was like, I don't really want to wear a suit for it because it's just not me. And I ended up wearing my hoodie and my slippers for the full page coverage, and they cut the slippers out, but other than that it got my personality across. But it's like, I think when you realise actually the more wealthy people that I've met, the more they just wear what they want to wear based on comfort and all the rest of it on a day-to-day basis. And there's that famous saying, it's when you realise that the guys in the suits work for the guys in the dressing gown, that's when you wake up and you'll realise that's usually how it goes. I'm not saying wearing a dressing gown does anything, but obviously Mark Zuckerberg was renowned for doing it when he went to venture capitalists, and wearing a hoodie was in his status was one of the first people to be on live TV, all the rest of it just wearing a hoodie. And he had a joke, didn't he? He came out wearing a blazer and he took it off and just I'm just kidding, and carried on with his hoodie. And people buy into your skill set, who you are. I think as soon as you start trying to be someone that you're not, you lose that credibility, and you lose that whole kind of that individuality that people. Yeah, exactly. You are what you are. So what's your tip number 4?
Number 4, I'm not too sure if it's been mentioned. I apologise if it has, but I think it means so much to me, only because of my past. You have to surround yourself with people that motivate you. You have to be around like-minded people. I know it's a simple saying, but I think it's absolutely essential. To put it simply, if you hang around with losers, you will become a loser. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah,
I don't want to say it too loud because my colleagues will get really happy about this. But it's lovely to walk into this environment where people push you, expect better from you. It makes you thrive and do more than what you're capable of. It resets your goalposts. I think it goes a long way to the success of you as an individual. I know that's not always possible. I had a conversation with somebody recently about, they're kind of stuck in their friendship circle and they do like their friends, but they're not as perhaps ambitious as they are.
Yeah.
I'm not saying sack off your friends. It's not always a solution.
Sack them, get rid of them, cut them, ruthless, bin them.
You could also use, think outside the box, just go to a library, autobiographies. You can surround yourself with great minds just by listening to other people's stories. And I think that's incredibly important. I know it's something you believe in a lot.
Oh yeah, no, that's something 1,000% that I back. I think that for you, like there's again another famous saying. You'll find it somewhere on my Instagram handle here. But you'll find it somewhere on my Instagram where there's a guy that says if 4 of your friends smoke, you're going to be number 5. And I think even if you look at it from the office environment here, if 4 of your friends gym, you're going to be number 5.
That's why I go gym, because of you lot.
Yeah. And like Jordan in the other room did go to gym. He came to gym. Michael, he's fallen off the racks now a little bit. He turned sideways. You don't see him now, but he used to go to the gym. We obviously harp on it Dale to come to the gym, and obviously he does his squash now and stuff like that. Apparently squash. Yeah. But he's there's everyone. It's the same thing. If you surround yourself with like-minded people, you'll end up doing similar things to those like-minded people. And then when someone else in that like-minded circle that you feel that you're a par with achieves something, you think, actually, well, I can achieve that. And so you end up going on and achieving that. And if you're at the bottom of your friend circle, you end up finding that you end up working your way up if you're as proactive as the other individuals. But it is an interesting one, and I think that a lot of people do limit themselves by the crowd that they hang around with. And sometimes I will be ruthless on it. Sometimes you just have to can them, mate. You just have to literally just sack them off and move into an environment where you can be successful. Because what you'll find is that your past drags you down, and it'll constantly keep you back. And I didn't used to hang around with Riff Raff or anything like that, but there's a few characters that I probably shouldn't have hung around with that were haven't ended up doing too well in their career now. And so, for example, I try to hang around with as many successful people as I can now, because it inspires me to continuously grow and all the rest of it. And in my circle, I try to pull my circle up to increase their value, increase so on and so forth.
I think if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that you always got to look around and who's making you better, who's pushing you. But you don't have that issue, because obviously I'm in the room a lot of the time.
I need another room.
I think it's quite important. You shouldn't be the smartest in the room, because it's only limiting your progression. So
doing something wrong. No, it's true. It's true. No, I 100% agree with that. It is one of those where if you are that smartest person in the room, you need to think through why you're in that room first of all. And I think there's lots of things like that you can relate to. Again, I like using big names like Steve Jobs. If you wake up looking in the mirror and you ask yourself every day in the mirror, what I'm about to do today, is it the right thing? And if after a week or 2 weeks of looking at that mirror every single day, and you think to yourself, I'm not going to enjoy doing what I'm going to do today, then you should just can it and move on. I think people are too scared to just can things and move on, and go and do something that they really want to do. And I think that is, like I said, just take the leap, go do it, learn. You only live once. Take that hurdle, just push yourself. And you won't find anyone out there that's successful that hasn't
done that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, unless you're like a family trust fund baby that's been passed down in generations upon generations because they did something good.
But doing something is always better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people sometimes just move sideways throughout their career, never willing to take that step.
Yeah.
But doing something is always going to be better than doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's really easy to be a loser. You just don't do anything.
Yeah.
It's quite hard to be a winner. You actually have to actively go and do something. But you can just sit there and be a loser. It's quite easy. Yeah. I'm not calling everyone losers. I'm just saying, if you sit there and don't do anything, you're moaning about it, you need to go do something about it. It's about being proactive and take it serious. There was an interesting one actually. I was asking Chaz, obviously, the camera girl. Warren Buffett. Was watching Warren Buffett. We like watching, documentaries and everything else about successful investors, traders. Why? Because again, you pick up on things. And one of the things he said at an open speech was, how much would you sell 10%? So you're at university now, you don't even have a career. So if you're at university, you're on your graduation, you haven't even got a career yet. And I say to you, well, look, I want to buy 10% of all of your annual salary, of your earnings for the rest of your life. How much will it cost me? So if, when you're at uni, how much will it cost me to buy it? 50 grand? If I gave 50 grand right now cash, will you give me 10% of your annual earnings for the rest of your life? Yeah? And what was interesting is a lot of the students was between 50,000 and 100,000, which actually means unconsciously they've valued themselves as an asset between £500,000 and £1 million. But if you worked it out that the person on the annual salary of £30,000 a year and they was to give £3,000, over a 30-year window, 40 years, the person that took that risk has earned it all back.
Yeah.
The issue is people don't like the concept of having patience and investing in themselves and realising that you're an asset to yourself. Your education will increase your value as an asset. Your your time, your experiences will increase you as an asset. So by buying in early in a crap asset or a blank asset, it's probably one of the best things you can do. Hence the June Trade Program, actually. You talk about that. We take people with a blank background, take the risk, take the investment, and then grow them into something better, and then they end up being huge value to us. And in some cases, actually, feel like they owe us because we've taken that risk on them.
Correct.
And that's another example of how we've actually applied that without actually realising it. But most people think too quick and want money too quick. And so, if I was 18 and someone offered me 100 grand for 10% of my money, I probably would have taken it.
Of course.
Now I would be like, oh my god, what a mistake. What was I thinking?
You valued yourself and your goal. That's why I think entering this world is just resetting my goalposts completely. What I thought was good and successful is now I look back and I thought I was ready to sell for that. If you gave me a grad job at 30k and said that by the time I'm 30 I'd earn 80k, by the time I'm 35 I'll be on 100k, I would have snapped it up immediately. And I think that people settle too early.
They just accept the norm. And again, I think that's comparing it to your 5 closest friends, isn't it? But in that scenario, you guys out there, I think let's take that as a bonus tip here, is start looking at yourself from an external point of view as an asset, and that you need to grow that value of an asset. And the way that you do that is education, it's growing your skill set, it's growing your experiences, it's putting yourself out there, it's taking risks. Most of it is education and learning, and that comes back to increasing your asset, your net value, your growth. If you think the reason why people are paid so much is based on what? Their education? Oh, he's got a master's degree, he's pretty solid. Okay, cool. He's got great skill set, he's got great experience. It's all education, it's all experience based, it's all being individual and having your own personality. So rather than looking external for reasons of why you're not X, Y and Z and why you're not there, look internally, because the reason why you're not there is because of you. And the sooner you realise that and start investing into your own time, into your own personal development, that's when your value of an asset will grow. So, and again, I think it keeps coming up in multiple entrepreneur talking teas, is patience is the biggest key. If you realise and sat down again, ask your friends the same question. And if you're a similar age level where you're about to go and finish university, ask yourself, if I offered you £100,000 and you're unemployed right now, for 10% of your earnings going forward, you're going to do well. I'm going to do well from it. I think it's like roughly one in a couple of hundred. Don't quote me on this, but I think it's like one in a couple of hundred ends up being a millionaire in the UK currently. So if I did that across 200 people, I'm going to be blitzing that 1 millionaire guy and constantly making money on that 10%. And those guys that are in the higher earning brackets, going to be rinsing them. The guys that are lower, it's going to take me 40 years to get my money back, but I still get my value. So it's crazy to realise the concept of actually how valuable you can be. So maybe don't underestimate yourself. I always do that task of saying, who here would work for £8 an hour? Raise your hands. Who here would work for £10 an hour? Raise your hands. Not there yet, maybe? £15 an hour? Raise your hands. £50? Raise your hands. Now, no matter which bracket you're in, what you've instantly gone and done is you've just valued yourself at a set monetary figure. And what you've done is you've valued yourself based on your past experiences and what your friend circle are on and achieving. And I'm not wrong on that. Where you've got that value from is, well, I've been paid this before, so I should be worth this. Or Steve's on this and he kind of does that, so I should be on this. Or, well, the internet is saying that this guy's doing this, so should be. It's sort of based on piss of vinegar, isn't it? It's all based on, made up expectations. Yeah. And I know multiple people that I've spoken to in their life that have gone in and said, well, my day rate is X, Y, and Z. Yeah. They've gone in with a blasé figure and they weren't going to get it, and they end up getting it, and they're like, wait, what? I'm getting paid this. This is ridiculous. But it's based on what someone else values you at, not what you're valuing yourself at. So try not to value yourself from an internal, you stop trying to value yourself in time, and just realise that if you invest in yourself, your net value will go up, and actually take that risk of being worth more. It's an interesting concept, so it's something to have a think about. So obviously, going on, we've given a lot of tips, a lot of points, I think, overall in just general entrepreneurship and personal development. What is your final tip that you would like to give the audience?
Again, a little bit outside the box. It's do what you're fearful of. I think that in life, a successful life or career is based upon making good decisions. Making good decisions at the right time. And sometimes, often faced with a dilemma, I tend to do what I least want to do. And more often than not, that's the better thing to do for me. So it sounds really strange, sounds a bit self-harming, but I think that people should do what they're fearful of. Do what they don't want to do. It will generally be the right thing to do. And the byproduct of doing that is that you'll have this sense of achievement, of acknowledgement that you've crossed a boundary, you've improved yourself, you've bettered yourself. And I think that goes a long way, and I think that's pretty much how I've just done my whole career. Like any task that you've asked me to do that I think is perhaps beyond my ability, I embrace it. I say, I set myself a challenge and I go out and I do it. And likewise with the restaurant and anything else, face your fears, should I say, and do what you're fearful of.
I'm in agreement with that. Mine's pretty much similar. Mine's do what makes you feel uncomfortable. So they're pretty much similar lines. So obviously you've thrown yourself in the deep end there about doing your biggest fear. So what is your biggest fear?
I fear open water.
Open water?
Yeah. So
obviously we go to Thailand.
That's my biggest fear, is open water.
So we go to Thailand, we're going to go swim with whale sharks.
Are we?
Yeah, we are.
All right, okay.
And so that would be open water.
So I really messed that one up, didn't I?
Yeah, so you've chucked yourself in that. So everyone listening, make sure you double check with Atish next year how it was in the open water, because obviously it's a big goal. So what does 2019 hold for you, and what's your plans for 2019?
Cool. So 2019 is a year for further diversification for me. I'm in it for the long term. Just based on my dad's story, I need to settle myself. I want to retire early. I want to make sure that I don't find myself in that position. I will be further diversifying my incomes. I have a little business on the side. I don't want to say anything too much to you yet. I think you're aware of it. And just looking to kind of spread things across the path, just like we have diverse portfolios when trading. Having diverse incomes is massively important, so that you're not heavily reliant on anything. So that's on my agenda for early 2019. Just looking to progress the business, maybe a little a little sort of takeaway branch off of the restaurant, etc. So a lot happening. Very excited.
Cool.
Heavily invested into Yieldcoin. So
Yeah.
that's going to determine just to what extent things happen for me, I think. And yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for 2019 as well. Very excited for Yieldcoin as well. Lots of things are happening with Yieldcoin, so that's an exciting period. Okay, so obviously we've been talking this whole entire time about the restaurant and everything. So if these guys want to come and check out your restaurant and try the awesome food, I can vouch for it. It's pretty damn good. Where do they go? What's it called? And
Cool.
what is the food types?
Oh, awesome! Thanks very much. So if you like beer, or if you like football, or if you like good food, then Saki and Pinner is the place to be. I'm always there, so come down, visit me, and yeah, just locally to Pinner, just outside of Watford, so not too far.
Saki, Pinner, great food. Sometimes the boxing's on there as well, which is
Correct.
really awesome if it's in good hours. If not, the football's always on there. Like I said, great place to go. Some of the traders here are going there as well, so if you're interested in that kind of environment, check it out, guys. So this is Entrepreneurs Talking Tea finished. Thanks, Atish, for joining us and giving your insight to your experiences, both trading, running a business, entrepreneurial side of things. Guys, do not forget to thumbs up, comment, subscribe, click the join now button if you want exclusive content, and make sure you comment below on who you'd like to see in the next episode, because it's you guys that are driving the Entrepreneurs Talking Tea, and we hope you're enjoying the points and tips takeaway. If you are, make sure you do. Chuck them below. Do you like how I did that then? If you like the takeaways.
That's all that.
Yeah, you
Nice.
like that?
Nicely
Little
done.
pun there. If you like the takeaways from Entrepreneurs Talking Tea, leave a comment on which ones, your favourite ones, which ones you apply, which ones you've experienced. Like I said, we do this all for you guys to improve yourself as an entrepreneur, improve yourself as a trader. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Friday for another Entrepreneurs Talking Tea.